So the Hurricane Center has highlighted a wave that's coming off of the west coast of Africa for the chance at some development over the next 7 days. It's unlikely to happen in the next 48 hours, but I'd say at some point over the next 7 days, about a 20-ish% chance that this could develop in this area where you see the yellow blob. That's kind of what we refer to it as. Here's a couple of different things going on in the atmosphere that really play into whether this is going to develop or not. Sea surface temperatures is a big deal. Now, we've talked about recently how in this main development region, which is actually the area that we're zoomed in on here, the sea surface temperatures are actually pretty warm for this time of year. They're not as warm as they're going to be when we get into the real meat of hurricane season over the next couple of months, but they're warm enough to support development. We also have some Saharan dust that's around. That's come off of the west coast of Africa with the wind flow. That tends to dry out the air and lead to less of a chance at development. But one thing that this possible storm has really going for it is the fact that there's really not much wind shear around right now. So as that wave of low pressure moves toward the west, it moves into this area where there's actually not a huge amount of wind shear. All the wind shear, at least where it's pretty high, is farther up toward the north and west, and wind shear tends to break apart storms. So where you have a pocket of low wind shear, that can aid in the development of storms. So there are a lot of different factors both ways. We'll keep a very close eye on this and let you know how the forecast progresses.
A few key things could make hurricane season a little more interesting this year. Here's what you need to know. First, we're looking at an El Nino pattern that typically brings stronger wind shear and limits the number and intensity of storms. But we also started off the season with warmer than usual water temperatures, especially in the Gulf of Mexico and eastern Atlantic. That's often a sign of a more active hurricane season because warm water is fuel for tropical storms or hurricanes. As far as forecasting goes, the National Hurricane Center is extending its traditional 5-day tropical outlook to 7 days, meaning a couple of extra days to track developing systems. And they've added 4 new names to the list this year: Harold, Idalia, Margot, and Nigel. Those replace the retired Harvey, Irma, Maria, and Nate from 2017. Keep in mind that most of the activity in the tropics usually kicks off in August, and this year many